Council members, Mayor, citizens of Scottsboro, I appreciate the opportunity. I did ask to be placed on the agenda about not only the property, but the issue of condemned property and the issue of rescue squad funding. Actually, you got two separate issues here, and I'm not about to sit up here and say that the rescue squad does not do outstanding work. They do. I agree with you, Mr. Smith, in your presentation last week. They've helped this city, they've helped citizens out many, many times. But the issue comes forward, what are the government bodies, to include the city of Scottsboro and Jackson County legislative delegation, going to do to fund permanently the rescue squad so that these issues do not consistently come up? Because this ain't the first time that funding problems for rescue squad and, for that matter, first responders has come forward. So whether to donate a condemned property on Wilson Street or not to the rescue squad is not the issue. But I present to you that it's symptom of a larger problem of management of funds and property. Property management and lack of funding of the rescue squad are two separate issues which should not be confused. So I think it becomes necessary to identify specifically what problems there are in the development of solutions is y'all's responsibility. And involving the rescue squad, it's a multi-jurisdiction responsibility. And I ask you to please understand and meet your responsibilities under the law, particularly referring to condemned property and how you deal with condemned property, because this is not the first time this issue has come forward. I brought forth an issue on how the city of Scottsboro goes about their abatement and condemnation proceedings earlier in the year. But let me just discuss, if I may, the problems here. Property management of all property on the city of Scottsboro is a management issue, and how the city deals with that property in demolishing the property. But the whole idea of property is a problem as well, because this involves also the secretive selling of the cattle cruiser. This is also property of the city of Scottsboro, and how the city of Scottsboro deals with this issue are very important. In condemnation of the property, such as the property on Wilson Street and other areas of town, the city of Scottsboro is not following the law. And then 1153B, regarding the abatement and demolition of property, because there's specific procedures set forth in that law. You just can't come forward and say, hey, I want to help these people out, and we're going to condemn this property. You know, we're going to do it for you, we're going to clean it off, we're going to charge you a set price. That's not in accordance with the law of the state. That may be an easy thing to do. But later on, if a citizen comes back on you, you get a problem. Regarding the rescue squad, you mentioned that. I believe that this city council, the mayor, well, he's still here, whoever the mayor may be, should go forth over the legislative delegation up to Jackson County and every other entity in this county and ask for funding. And ask the legislative delegation to put forth and issue before the state legislature a local law to fund the rescue squad permanently. Not just piecemeal, as it seems to always be, and run into problems. So the question comes, how much, back to the property, how much demolished property does the city of Scottsboro have? How much? How many acres? How many lots? And what is its value? Maybe instead of just one piece of property, I think there's others. And I'm not talking about property in a hazard mitigation area that you can't do anything with except maybe make it a greenway because it's going to flood. I'm not talking about that property. And what are the property's market value? In other words, this property on Wilson Street, you're going to have to declare a property value on it, even if you donate. What is its property value and how much was spent on demolition of that property? That's the right thing to do. The citizens of Scottsboro deserve to know that, what that property is worth. So, how about other properties that are non-utilized, non-industrialized properties in Scottsboro? Scottsboro has quite a bit of property here that's not being utilized. How many acres are those properties? What is its value? And I'm asking you to put that in the list. I think you should be transparent and place out to the citizens of the city of Scottsboro a listing of all property that is non-utilized, to include a listing of industrialized IDD properties that's not being utilized. Of course, we've got it up in Hollywood, but I noticed if you go up Hollywood, look across to the left as you drive toward the Industrial park, there's a building on the left side of the road. It's got a sign for sale, City of Scottsboro. And of course, you go down Highway 72, you've got property down there. So just how much? I'm asking you to be transparent on this issue. How many acres of property does Scottsboro have? What are the lots? What is the value of them? And maybe those properties can be sold, maybe it's not wise to sell them. But the important thing is that you identify them and let the citizens know what's going on with this property. So in solutions, follow the law regarding requirements of taking property into inventory. It's been a problem. As stipulated in Code of Alabama 1153B through 6. Never, as long as I've been coming to these council members, has the City Council of the City of Scottsboro fixed the price of demolition of property. Never, whether it be Wilson Street or whether it be any other property. And it must be approved by the council. Never does that happen. If there's no need for real property, declare it excess and sell it. And I'm not saying it's wrong to let I agree with you. The rescue squad could probably get more money out of it than the City of Scottsboro. That's not the problem. The problem is how you're dealing with property in the City of Scottsboro. And I'm suggesting you do it right. If you're going to do anything at all, do it right. Follow the law. Now, and of course, the solution, the last solution deals with the rescue squad. I'll say it again. There's got to be some sort of effort made by government entities here to permanently fund the rescue squad. And that's going to take a legislative act, a local act put through across the way with all the municipalities, the county entities getting together and working together to resolve the issue. I appreciate your time and consideration of these matters. They're important matters. And, transparency is always important in how much property the City of Scottsboro has. It's not just your property, it's the people's property. It's the citizens of Scottsboro. So I ask you to please be transparent and do a better job of management in your management practices about property. The Scottsboro assets of personal and real property is important. So I ask you to do your job and do it well for the citizens. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, do you have any? One? I have maybe a question or two. 90% of your speech was based on talking about condemned property, this condemned property, that. Sure. This is not condemned property. This property was signed over to the city for the city coming in there and tearing the building down and cleaning it up, and then they turned the property.
They donated the property to the city, and the city went up there and tore it down. Right?
Yes, sir. So it's not condemned. So it didn't fit what you're talking about.
Yes, sir, it does. And the reason I say this is because the city is not, any municipality is not in the business of property demolition. Whether a citizen wants to donate that property, that's not in accordance with the law. And I would challenge anyone to say, look at the law. It's pretty plain, it's easy to read. Now, I'm not, once again, I'm not saying don't donate that property. It's what I'm saying, it's the issue of how property is managed. I mean, is it on the books of the City of Scottsboro? Is that property on the books? The boat wasn't on the books. So how am I to know that that piece of property is not on the books? Or any other citizen? That's the issue. How you're managing the property.
As a council, it's our responsibility to pass laws, pass rules, do things to clean up our city. And one of those things is find old corner buildings and dilapidated buildings and find some means to get them cleaned up, whether it be by the person who owns it, whether it be by the city, whatever that might be. Now, you say we're not right in doing what we do. I called again today because I happened to be here instead of over there tonight. And I asked Mr. Kenner, I just heard him at lunch, as a matter of fact, to ask him, are you sure that what we're doing is correct? And he said, what we're doing is correct. We pay him a fairly good salary to come up here and sit every night and with us and make the right decisions, or at least tell us when we're making the right decisions. I trust his judgment. He's been doing it forever. And so I think we're doing it right. And that's why I would like to put on the agenda next Monday night that we vote on this matter.
I don't have a problem with that. That's not what I'm saying. Once again, I would disagree with you, Mr. Smith.
I don't exactly know what you have a problem with in regard to this.
The way you conduct business. The management of property,
I don't hear it all.
you're violating 1153B by the method and form that you condemn property and tear it down. You're violating the law. That's what I'm saying. If you don't want it, this council does not want to correct your error, that's up to y'all. But I think you're putting the citizens out for a ride that sometime we're not going to like.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
In regard to this situation.
Sure.
You're complaining that we're taking a piece of property probably worth a couple $1,000 maybe. And we won't, not worth, at this point, and we're going to take and donate this to the rescue squad and let them do whatever they want to do, sell it or whatever. And you appear to raise a cane about that. But I don't understand that sitting right over behind City Hall, 2 blocks away, is a heritage center. And we borrowed $500,000 and gave it to them to build onto the back of their building, another nonprofit. And I haven't heard you say one word about that $500,000 that you're raising Canaan about a $2,000 lot.
You do well in subterfuge, Mr. Smith. The issue I'm up here to present to y'all is the way you manage property, and I'm up here telling you it's not right. Why not find out how much that property is worth for the rescue squad first? Why not determine what the fair market value of that property is? You're required to do that.
Thank you for your speech. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda. If you'd like to state your position in regard to your advice to me.
A piece of property can only be condemned if the piece of property has been condemned. If you look at the ordinance that the city of Scottsboro has, which predates the legislative act that Mr. Morgan is talking about, one of the things that it allows is property owners and the city to determine if there is a mutually agreeable alternative. If they want to give their property to the city, and the city administration chooses to accept the donation, then the city can do so and take action on property it owns. Over the years, the city's been given lots of property. Example, Bynum Park. I think that's being properly utilized. There were 2 tracts of property that the city has transparently sold this fiscal year, which brought in several $150,000 to $200,000 that the city spent no money on acquiring. The people gave their property to the city. The city owns tracts all over town. I don't know how to list. I assume someone does. But I assume the public records would show at the assessment office at the courthouse if someone was interested in wanting to do a little digging. All the property and the assessed value. There is no requirement when you are giving property to a tax-free, non-profit entity that you spend money, which costs money, to obtain the appraisal. If this property is worth $2,000 theoretically, it would make a lot of sense for the city to spend $500 if they were going to give it to a non-profit corporation. No, that's foolishness. The same thing would apply on the turnouts or the equipment that was given to Limrock Asphalt Fire Department last meeting. Did we obtain an appraisal on those items of equipment before they were given to another fire department? No. One can't pick and choose in the statute book to try to find a gotcha. That particular statute does not apply to the city of Scottsboro. That particular statute is not mentioned in our ordinance. Cities and towns in Alabama, the law is based on the size of the community. In 1970, not today, but 1970, you're either category 1, 2, 3, 4 through 8 municipalities. Different statutes apply to different size communities based on the 1970 census. That's where one can get confused when one's looking at the statute. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. We'll go to item number 4 now, is discuss Veterans Field capital improvement. Mr. Miller.
We found out recently that there were some plans that were drawn up for the ball field, and I think the council had some questions as far as seeing those plans. I know that Mr. Stewart sent, or Gary Stewart sent an email to the mayor, or I guess the entire council, he received it too, asking for a copy of the plans. I think he ran into Elon at the swim meet Friday and saw those plans. And I know that Gary had asked for those last week, and I was just curious to when we were going to see those plans, meaning that council needed to approve the plans prior to the contracts being awarded for the bids. And I know that the bid date has already been set up for July 26th at 2 p.m. And I'm just curious as when that would happen.
It's laying on the table back here.
Okay.
We just got it Friday. That's when we got them in City Hall.
Okay.
And it's
So,
on the table back here. Feel free to welcome and look at it.
is it possible for the council, Mr. Kimmer, to ask that we review those plans, and I guess at what point do we get to approve those plans or make suggestions to those plans?
You can make suggestions to plans at any time. You approve it by awarding the contracts and putting it out for bid. The plans are not satisfactory, you do not approve them, and do not put it out for bid.
Has the plans already been put out to bid?
They had that meeting, what day was it, on Thursday? Thursday. They sent out the notice of bid. I don't know who else picked them up or whatever. But since we're talking about this, I think the issue is the scorekeepers blocks and the concession stand. Is that right?
Correct.
January the 20th, we had a meeting with Gary Stewart and Mark Peppers of the Recreational Advisory Board. From the very beginning, there were going to be a one-story concession stand with scorekeepers blocks. We had another meeting in March, a block building for scorekeepers down in the field. Had another meeting in March, same thing. There's not been any changes of that plan until, or any questions asked about it until the last week or so. You might have about 2 weeks ago, I think you said something about a second story. So here we are, a week and a half before we bid, and now the plans are going to change. If that's what you elect to do, and if that's what you want to do, I'm not up here for it or against it. But I will say that I did talk to the architect today, and her comments were that that concession stand is not built for a second floor. So if you add a second floor to that, then you're going to have to completely redesign the concession stand. These are a completed set of plans, and that's what is being used to bid on, is my understanding. Now, can you change that? You absolutely can. But if you change that concession stand to a second floor, it will add another 25% to the cost of that concession stand and put the project about 2 months behind before the plans can be redrawn and everything put back to bid for you to accept the bid. I guess my only question is what took so long. You know, we talked about this back in January of exactly what it was going to be, and now here we are going to change. And if you want to change, that's up to you. I just want to let you know that it's going to be a 25% additional cost for the construction of the concession stand. 2 months put behind on the schedule, and then they would have to charge to redesign the construction of the concession stand in the new second story. And that was coming from the architect this afternoon.
I'll say this, my concern really is not whether 1 story, 2 story, I haven't seen any plans, so I don't know. Well, my concern is putting plans out to bid that have not been seen or approved by this council.
We just got it Friday, and you're welcome to come and look at it. You might have got hers, maybe theirs too earlier.
You know, but this seems to be a pattern. We just submitted a 90% plan approval on the reconstruction work that's going to be done on the square. And I know people that were on that committee that were not made aware of the 90% meeting.
That's not true, Mr. Splasher. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
I've got emails to prove it, so that's not true.
Now, I brought up the concern.
I'm not going to throw people under the bus,
Okay.
but I have been informed by people that I trust their word that are on that review committee that they were not made aware of the last meeting. I was not made aware of the last meeting. I would have appreciated the opportunity to attend that last meeting. So I know that I was not informed.
Well,
And I think, as a council member, I have the right to know when that review process is going on.
okay. I'm not gonna argue with you.
And
If you want to know, then I didn't notify anybody of that because you're not on the committee. Everyone on that committee, we didn't send out the email. The engineering firm sent the email out to everyone about that. Now, they all didn't show up, that's for sure. But when those plans were sent back from the state for their 90% approval, then those plans were coming in here and being introduced to you. But there's no need to introduce those plans until it was approved by the state, because there's back and forth. But now, if you want to know about every meeting that we have about everything, then I guess I can let you know, but, I didn't know you wanted to come to the meeting. All you had to do is say so.
I mean, that's a pretty major project, don't you think that?
It absolutely is, but we have people here who are tasked with taking care of that.
Well, let's concentrate on the project at hand.
I didn't get off the subject.
Now, as far as
If it's a 25% increase and it puts us 2 months behind schedule, it's a 25% increase and it's 2 months behind schedule. But it's this council's responsibility to review the plans and approve them before they go out to bid. Is that not the case?
I didn't put them out for bid, the architect did.
so the plans came Friday.
They were delivered to City Hall on Friday, yes.
However, they were delivered to the rec hall on Thursday.
I'm not sure when she got hers.
And I do recall that Gary did ask last week, and he's asked, I think, publicly at several meetings for a copy of the plans, and the response is, as soon as we get them, you'll see them.
Okay,
With-
today's Monday.
Yeah, well, that was Thursday. And with myself being the chairman of the Recreation Committee, Gary being the vice chair, as well as me serving on with the Recreation Advisory Committee, I would have thought that someone would have called us to at least either come down for a walk around or come down and look at the plans as soon as they're brought in. But additionally, after I made the request for the two-story dugout several weeks ago, I made it clear to Yvonne and a few others at the RecCom as well, and asked for that to be considered, and that was never considered. So now, I don't know as far as how far it went, the consideration, but obviously.
Consideration went to Ms. Harding, who was the architect. And she said that you called her about a month ago wanting to have a meeting with her and you never followed
Well,
up.
that was about the pool, that was
Okay,
okay.
I'm just doing what she told me. Again, it doesn't matter to me, I'm just giving you the information of what was relayed to me about what it's going to do and what's going to happen. And you will save money by not doing the scorekeepers, but it's out back if you do a second floor. It's just, how important is it to you on the budget and the time frame?
Well, as far as adding the second level, this is the reasoning why I personally think we need to add a second level. All right, of course, we're building this for Scottsboro. That's obvious, and we have to take care of the parents of the children in Scottsboro as far as providing them the opportunity to have their recreational facilities. But the Little League games that are held within the city, those don't produce additional income for the city. All right, that if anything, we break even. Worst case, we probably would go in a hole on some of those events and some of those things. This is a service to the city. The only way that we can generate additional money is by making it as appealing to a tournament director as possible. And after being involved in multiple tournaments, whether it be photographing or helping, whatever, most of the tournament directors, if not all of them, have said that the facility at Bond is perfect. You have a second level, you can observe from one area, you don't have to run around a block building and you don't know what's going on until the field. And one of the ones I've spoken to is Donnie Darby, who is the director for the USSSA baseball. I've spoken with some of Dizzy Dean. I've also spoken with some of the Dixie softball, and they all recommend having a second story for a tournament aspect, and that is what is going to generate the lodging tax and the sales tax for the city of Scottsboro. And so if we're building it, we might as well take advantage and basically capture what we can as much as we can, as often as we can. That's the recommendation for the second level.
Yeah.
I would suggest that it might be a good idea that, Ms. Harding come and go over the plans. We can either do that in an open meeting or she can be.
When I spoke to her, she said she'd be glad to come to a meeting, so. Just let me know when you want to do it, next Monday or some other time.
Try to do it when everybody's here. Is everybody going to be here next Monday?
I'm not. You may have her next week.
At least 3 of us.
You want her here next week?
You want to do it next week?
That's fine with me. I mean,
Consider them later.
Or,
Next week's the soonest we can do it.
I was gonna say your committee, but Gary's out for 2 weeks, I think. Gary's not gonna be here. He told me he was out for 2 weeks, gonna shut down. And he did the recreational committee also.
He's the vice chair.
I like, speaking of Gary, I don't mind us discussing all this stuff, but I need for someone to tell what Gary's gonna say. I like for Gary to say what Gary's gonna say.
I did call him this afternoon and ask if he minded if I referenced his email, which I did. So, and he recommended looking at the scores boxes as well as adding the second link.
I read the email too, and it kind of sounds like he's not happy with it because it's not the best in the country. What I read, and I don't know if we can go there. But anyway.
So I guess, did you want her here next week or next week? I'm confused. If it's 2 weeks, then we'll have the bids put off. We'll just call Christine and tell her to put it off.
If you want to do it sooner, we do it at a council meeting, you can do stuff.
When's the 26th, the week?
Because the longer you wait, the longer it's gonna be
26th is Tuesday.
before it's through, correct?
Week from tomorrow. We did 26th, Yvonne, was that correct?
Next week?
So, 25th.
Delay it? Delay the bid?
No,
No,
Ms.
next
Harding.
week, you say next week, right? You say next week, right?
that's fine with me.
So that's 3 of us, say next week.
And that's to have Ms. Harding come.
Yeah, that's for her.
But I guess my question is, the bid opens the 26th, you want to start having to delay that? That's the
I
question.
would think so.
Okay. Is that what you want to do?
I mean, we haven't approved the plans.
Ready?
Well, there's no sense in that.
Again, I don't understand how we're gonna send it out to bid until the plans are approved. Yeah,
So we're not gonna be able to approve the plans, do we understand the plans from Ms. Harding?
That's correct.
So let's have her here Monday night. Let her
I
explain.
thought that's what we were doing.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. So we have 3 of us.
I'll tell her to be here.
Anyone have anything else in regard to this situation? Hearing none, we'll have reports, Mr. Mayor.
I don't have anything.
No.
I have 2 things. One actually goes back to number 1 item on the agenda with rescue squad. Did we add this to the agenda for next week, or are we going, was it added, or are we going to draft?
As I understand it, we really can't do anything until we have a deed from the state.
Okay.
So it would be appropriate to wait until we have a deed from the state.
Just want to make sure. Thank you.
I can go ahead and get started on the draft lease, so action can be quick once the deed is received.
Okay, and we're looking at October, I guess by the time the National Guard rolls out.
That was the last information that I got. And just one other thing, those plans will be laying back here, so with a spec book, so whenever you want to come by and look, I'm gonna be on this back table back here. Between now and then.
And the other thing was just that the RecCom did another great job this past weekend with the district swim meet, RecCom and SSA, the parents with that as well. I heard they placed first in the small cities, is that right? So they did a great job with that as well, and so that's two back-to-back events that the Red Palm has been tasked with, and they've done a great job with DC and the district's well. That's all I have.
Mr. Walker?
I don't have anything. Thank you, for coming in.
I don't have anything either, so this meeting is adjourned.